I'm William Kumwembe with Business Time on Times Television, courtesy of Skyband. This is a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories that are making headlines in the country. And coming up in the program today, African Development Bank ADB boss advocates regional integration ahead of annual meeting. We have a report. And National Bank of Malawi chairperson pessimistic over 2019 GDP growth impact. We have these and other stories. Stay tuned if you could.
At Skyband, we offer a variety of products and services to meet your needs and requirements. We have EVO services, which connect to our 4G WiMAX network across Malawi. We offer social Wi-Fi, which allows you to browse the internet using your Facebook and Google accounts on any of our over 150 hotspots nationwide. For our corporate customers, we offer uncapped internet services, corporate MPLS and VPN connections, a state-of-the-art data center, hosted services, Metro Fiber in Ilongwe and Blantyre, and many more. At Skyband, we help you to stay connected, whether at work, in your home, or on the go. Skyband, Malawi's leading internet services provider.
Hello and welcome. In our main story today, African heads of states and governments start meeting in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea on Wednesday for the 55th annual general meeting for the African Development Bank. The meeting will see technocrats banging heads on how to fast-track regional integration on the continent. The meeting comes at a time Africa continues to face continued competition from other continents despite being endowed with numerous resources. On Tuesday, African Development Bank President Akinwumi Adesina said the continent could develop with dignity and confidence if it could get regional integration right. Our reporter Taonga Sabola is there from where he filed this report.
The African Development Bank annual meetings provide an opportunity for experts, governments, businesses, civil society, think tanks and the academia to share candid experiences on regional integration efforts and dialogue on critical issues concerning Africa's development. Briefing reporters ahead of the meetings, African Development Bank President Akinwumi Adesina said the continent could develop with dignity and confidence if it could get the regional integration question right. Adesina said regional integration gained momentum with the agreement on African Continental Free Trade Area in March last year and is now at the threshold of its launch next month. Adesina said if Africa could get its integration right, it would be more competitive, create a massive amount of jobs, and develop in dignity and confidence. The meetings are being held under the theme Regional Integration for Africa's Economic Prosperity and have attracted over 3,000 delegates from all African countries, including Malawi. Adesina said Equatorial Guinea was selected as host country for the annual meetings because of its economic potential and because the Central Africa could benefit a great deal from regional integration. For Times, in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, I'm Taonga Sabola.
Meanwhile, the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA, has embarked on an initiative to establish a digital free trade area, which is expected to create a $17.2 billion worth market for member states. This was revealed on Monday at the opening of a 3-day meeting for regional delegates. The COMESA DFTA would consist number of digital instruments to support trade among COMESA member states, including an electronic certificate of origin underpinned by blockchain technology and a mobile application for cross-border traders. Chimwemwe Mangazi has the whole story.
The COMESA DFTA will consist of a number of digital instruments to support trade in COMESA, including an electronic certificate of origin underpinned by blockchain technology and a mobile application for cross-border traders. COMESA announced in November 2017 that its secretariat had completed the design of the digital free trade area and that the COMESA electronic certificate of origin was now ready for piloting. COMESA's Director of Trade and Customs, Francis Mangeni, said the initiative will take off as soon as possible and expects that at the end of the meeting, an electronic certificate of origin for the bloc will be commissioned.
This is a top priority for the organization. It is estimated that when we digitize trade facilitation instruments, we shall get $17.2 billion in new trade. Trade is going to increase annually by $17.2 billion. For this reason, this is a very important program which we need to implement and which has to take off as soon as possible. So the reason we're here in Lilongwe today as COMESA, 21 member states covering 40% of Africa, is to kickstart this program. What we expect is that after 3 days, we're here for 3 days, we shall be able to start using the COMESA electronic certificate of origin. And that will do away with the paper system which we have, which is cumbersome. That people have to sign on a piece of paper, which we circulate to all the 21 countries using courier, which sometimes takes up to a month or even 3 months before reaching the border posts. And in the meantime, trade can be stopped or delayed. So this is a very, very important for us, and this is what we're here to do. Actually, the more important question is whether the different systems that customs authorities use in the member states can be interfaced, whether they can talk to each other. For instance, in Kenya, they may have a system which they call Simba. Actually, that's what they have. In Tanzania, they may have a system which they call Tanzes. So you don't worry about that. What we have already done is to make sure that these different systems can interface, can talk to each other. So it shouldn't matter which system exactly you are using. What matters is that your system can generate the trade facilitation instruments, such as the electronic certificate of origin. That is what's important. And we have made sure that what we put in place, whatever the systems that member states use, can be generated. The instruments that we put in place can be generated by any member state using their systems. Technology can talk to each other. It can be interfaced. It's a matter of giving it to the software and the IT people, the engineers. They know how to do it. And this is what we have been doing. Now, you're talking about this general question of the IT infrastructure in our member states. It's the duty of every government, working closely with the private sector, to be up to speed with the technological developments in the world. We are all aware of the mobile revolution in the whole world. So if any government ignored this development, it will not be doing what it is supposed to do. And I believe every government in Africa, in COMESA here, is doing everything they can to make sure that everything is in place to assist people, the ordinary people, have access to this latest technology.
Director of Administration and Finance in the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Tourism, Joseph Nkandawire, said the initiative will enhance regional integration and reduce the cost of doing business, improve efficiency and effectiveness among traders.
What you should know is that COMESA is there for regional integration. And regional integration, we want to ensure that we have seamless trading issues so that we reduce the cost of doing business. We improve efficiency and effectiveness. So in digital area, we're talking about having innovation so that we can be able to trade using the search platforms. For example, we have the trade portal where a trader can easily access information at the click of the button. So we want to make sure that in the region we speak the same language, where we can use a platform and use it for trade. I'll give you an example on the same portal that if you go on the Malawi portal, you get all information on the issues of land, legislation, how you can do business, taxation issues. So you don't have to go from one office to the other to gather information. So this is one way we want to ensure that we integrate COMESA countries into a trading bloc.
He added that on the rules of origin, it is a process and they are trading carefully to agree to something that will benefit local traders and the nation at large. From Lilongwe, I am Chimwe Mangazi.
Remember, this is Business Time right here on Times Television with me, William Kumwembe. It is a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country, courtesy of Skyband. And when we get back, we speak to National Bank of Malawi and BM Board Chairperson George Partridge on the bank's 2018 performance. We'll be right back.
At Skyband, we offer a variety of products and services to meet your needs and requirements. We have Evo services, which connect to our 4G WiMAX network across Malawi. We offer social Wi-Fi, which allows you to browse the internet using your Facebook and Google accounts on any of our over 150 hotspots nationwide. For our corporate customers, we offer uncapped internet services, corporate MPLS and VPN connections, a state-of-the-art data center, hosted services, Metro Fiber in Lilongwe and Blantyre, and many more. At Skyband, we help you to stay connected, whether at work, in your home, or on the go. Skyband, Malawi's leading internet services provider.
Welcome back. Malawi Stock Exchange listed National Bank of Malawi has said the 5.3% gross domestic product GDP growth estimate for this year is not sufficient to reverse the country's poverty levels. This was said during the bank's 47th annual general meeting in Blantyre. NBM Chairperson and Chief Executive Officer for Conglomerate Press Corporation Limited, George Partridge, told delegates to the AGM that Malawi needs to do more in order to attain sustainable economic growth and would be able to offset the current poverty levels. In an interview, Partridge starts by giving an insight of the bank's performance in the year under review.
I think under the circumstances, the bank has performed very well. We are down on last year by 16%, but it is because of the environment that we are in. I think considering that environment, making a profit of about 15 billion is no mean achievement. The environment that we had was that, if you recall, there were a lot of power challenges, and these power challenges in the country affected a lot of our customers, and therefore a lot of our customers couldn't grow, and in actual fact a lot of our customers did shrink, and therefore they didn't bring as much business as we expect from them, and there was also no growth because no company would open a factory or any facilities because of the power challenges. But also that business that they bring in is not only borrowing from the bank or depositing from the bank, but there is also ancillary business like letters of credit, importation, and all the other commissions. If our customers are suffering, that also affects us. We also do suffer. But considering everything, I think we did quite well. But also our share price, because the returns are in two parts. One is the profit, the actual profit that you make from the shareholders' point of view. The other one is the share price. The share price rose nicely. I think about 22% from last year. So all in all, I'm satisfied that actually under the circumstances we did well. There has been a little bit of an increase in non-performing loans because, as we said, if our customers are suffering, I think the degree to which they can make repayments also is affected. If there are power challenges, they can't produce, they can't do other things for their business. That means the ability of them to repay what they have borrowed is affected, and therefore there are increased provisions. But also the reason why provisions can increase is the fact that the standards look at the whole macroeconomic environment. If it's adverse, then you just have to do more provision in anticipation. Now they call it probability of default. So you were hearing about other standards that have come into effect. One of those standards is actually the one that makes sure that we do provide, even when you get a loan day one, what is the probability of you defaulting? And that is also included in our provision. Contrary to what people think that the banks do enjoy in a rising interest rate environment, actually we do like a low interest rate environment. The reason is because if it's a low interest rate environment, money supply increases and we have more money to work with, but also less bad debts, but also the volumes of our lending book increases. And it increases more than the interest rate, the high interest rate that we can get out of the high interest rate environment. So we bank, National Bank in particular, we're very happy when interest rates are coming down because the volumes of our business are the ones that matter. Otherwise, if interest rates are high, then we will just have more bad debts in the system.
Tobacco Commission, regulator of tobacco industry in Malawi, has said would not uplift quotas until all growers sell off their tobacco. Uplift is an extra volume of tobacco that farmers are allowed to sell if they produce beyond their allocated quotas. TC Chief Executive Officer Kaisi Sadala said the stance is aimed at protecting small-scale farmers. Chimwemwe Mangazi reports.
In an interview, the TC Chief Executive Officer Kaisi Sadala said the stance has been taken to protect the very farmers from vendors who smuggle tobacco from neighboring countries and flood the local market, as was the case last year.
Because last year, these dobadobas pushed their tobaccos faster than our real growers. And by the time our growers went to the market, the trade requirements had already been met, and the buyers were buying the tobacco, excess tobacco, cheaply. So our real growers suffered. So this year, we are not doing any uplifts until the commissioner we are satisfied that at least the majority of 3/4 of our growers are pushed in their tobacco, so that we don't leave room. But in any case, the new act has got very strict penalties for those that are found into an overproduction situation. For example, if somebody has overproduced without a license, they just overproduced. From now on, 3/4 of that excess, that money will be taken by the commission. You know, this crop is a controlled crop. We have to make sure that our farmers are disciplined. But if they just produce tobacco the way they want to produce, it gets overflooded, it will actually hit it on them because the price, mind you, we are competing in the region. So buyers will go where they will get better tobacco, higher quality, but at good prices. Now, if we overflood it, they will not buy tobacco. If at all, they will buy it too cheap and the farmers will be crying. So if we have to sustain the crop in the country, we have to make sure that whatever we are producing is in line with the demand requirements, the trade requirements, because we don't produce this crop for our own consumption. Within that approach, what is happening is still no buyer can buy below the minimum prices. It is a requirement. It is this is the only industry that is pricing is heavily regulated, and every stakeholder must adhere to that. And our systems would not allow. It actually will be a red flag immediately if somebody offered below the minimum prices for a particular grade. So within the grades, the prices that they are offering, these are within the minimum prices, which in setting them, they are still cushioning the grower.
Currently, 44.7 million kilograms of tobacco have been sold at an average price of $1.40, realizing $62.8 million. The volume, however, is 28% shy when compared to the 62 million kilograms sold in the first 7 weeks of tobacco sales in 2018, while the value is 37% less of $99.9 million realized during the same period last year. The average price is 13% lower than last year's $1.61. Sadala said the trend was expected as last year buyers were scrambling for tobacco since the understanding was that supply was low, unlike this year when supply has gone up. From Lilongwe, I'm Chimwe Mangazi.
And as we proceed with the program, let us now have a look at how the Malawi kwacha is faring against major trading currencies on the foreign exchange market. Now, in other news, one of the country's insurance companies, Nico Life, has launched a new funeral insurance policy. For an insight, our journalist Martin Piri spoke with Nico Life CEO Eric Chapola.
The Linano funeral product is unique in that this is now a product that provides for funeral expenses cover for individuals, their families, and dependents. I think you need to recognize the difference with the product that we launched last year, which was the Goodwill Funeral Policy. The one that we launched last year was for corporations and defined groups. And the major difference is that for the Goodwill Funeral Policy, the policy pays services when you make a claim. So we provide you with a coffin, transport, and other funeral services. The one that we've launched today, the Dirinano funeral product, meant for individuals, pays out cash when death occurs. What needs to be appreciated first is that there is a claims process that must be followed before we pay. You need to fill in a claim form. You need to prove that death has happened by giving us a death certificate, or an elderly person in your village can confirm that death has happened. When we have received this confirmation, we process the claim and we undertake to pay the claim in the shortest time possible. Amongst the claims that we've paid, the quickest was paid within 5 hours. Because the idea is that these monies must be used at the funeral and not be used afterwards.
Well, with that story, we've also come to the end of today's edition of the program Business Time, right here on Times Television, a magazine program where we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country and, of course, beyond. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is William Kumwembe. But always remember, if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. Goodbye for now.